All right, guys, everybody that is joining us this evening, thank you so much for that short bit of patience there. We are about to start getting this webinar off and running, so feel free to just get yourself settled in, and we'll get started here in just a quick moment. So thank you, everybody that is joining us at this time. All right, let's see here. Give us one moment. We're going to get this thing going right now. Excellent. All right, everybody that is joining us, remember this is the StrataVentures Industry Webinar that happens twice a month. And today we have a special guest, Dora Nava of Pink Diamond Properties, talking to us about Auctions 101. Basically, I think one of the most interesting parts of real estate, but also can be one of the most, I guess, false expectations, right? What most people think auctions are about, and then they realize what exactly an auction is, and then they see that it's not what really what really they thought it was going to be, right? So with that, ladies and gentlemen, as you guys are coming in, please feel free to get yourself settled in, and we'll get started here in about 2 minutes, actually 1 minute. So Dora, welcome. Hope you're having a great evening, and we're looking forward to your information today.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
All right. So here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Diego Mello with StrataVentures, and our company holds, for those of you that have not been a part of our webinars in the past, we hold webinars every 2 weeks. We always bring topics to the real estate investor community, and we do bring speakers of certain knowledge, expertise, and we do also disclose that, you know, we're not experts in that arena, but as we do this for everybody, it's about sharing our time, sharing our knowledge, but most of all, giving back to the community of this industry that is amazing. Today, we have our main topic coming on here in just a moment. For those of you obviously joining us in the Zoom rooms, please make sure you keep all of your questions in the Q&A section. Make sure those questions that are topic sensitive to the Q&A section. We don't have any polls going on at this time. And if you have any questions about SVI or contact information, just have it, go ahead and hit the moderator button where the chat is. That's where Oriana Ovalle is. She's in there at the moment. And if you decide that the topic wasn't for you, feel free to click the end button. But remember, guys, this event is for you, so we encourage questions. So there is going to be a session or a section at the end of the webinar that's 100% there for the questions, guys. SVI, StrataVentures, was established in May of 2012. We're a full-service real estate investment company, and we like to say we house the 4 prongs of real estate, which are the acquisition analysis, real estate services, project management services, and last but not least, funding. For everybody that wants to get to know us a little bit better, we invite you to go to strataventures.com, and in strataventures.com, you can actually request to get one-on-ones, and we'd love to get to know who you are. This is the core team of SVI. Obviously, myself here, Diego Mello, Oriana Ovalle. We have Maria Rodriguez, Pedro Alcedo, Eric Christie, Stacy Ford, and Ron Dancy. They do make the core team of SVI, which is, I believe, an expert in every arena of the real estate world that people, and especially our members, all can take, can benefit from. About myself, I was born in Colombia, South America, moved to the United States at the age of 4, live here in Houston, previously a mortgage banker and asset manager, and I began investing in 2012 when I quit my job as an asset manager, and then I founded StrataVentures in May of 2012 and developed the current SVI platform, which is today, back in 2014. That was after 2 years of failure, guys, so you're going to learn a lot of stuff about us, especially if you do the one-on-ones with us. And we launched our national platform in June of 2020, when we all obviously were all going through the pandemic, and COVID really allowed us to turn StrataVentures into a national presence, now with over 2,500 members nationally, and we have members in over 27 states. So our company motto is it's a win-win or we don't do it. So simple as that. And what I like to tell people in real estate, and if you're listening for the first time, ask yourself, what does a real estate investor do? And what's going to happen is you're going to get, if you ask 5 people that same question, you're going to get 5 different answers. So we really, really love to give our definition of at SVI what a real estate investor does. And here's what we think a real estate investor does in our world. A real estate investor analyzes, acts, invests, and profits with one word in mind, and that is risk. So think about this, guys. If you are analyzing things yourself and you've never done that before, if you're in like comparable data, right? If you are acting, which is looking at properties and assessing repair estimates, and you've never done that before, both those aspects of your transaction are going to be high risk. So imagine what kind of investing you're going to be in, right? High risk lending, right? High risk investments. So how are you going to gain profit? So the main message that I want to convey right now is that at SVI, we always keep our members in the same role that they should be playing every single time, which is the identity of becoming an investor, not a technician, an investor only, because we're here to address risk. Now, having our speaker today, Dora Nava, I can definitely tell you the first times I've ever went to the auction here in Houston, boy, was that exciting. 2, was it full of risk, because I came from a risk mitigation background. And I can tell you there were people by emotion, just excitement that were wanting to make offers. But guess what, Dora? They were scared. There's so, you're scared going into an auction. At the end of the day, you might have a big uh-oh moment. And that uh-oh moment meant you bought something, right? So with that, this is where Miss Dora comes in. And Dora, if you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you have a presentation to share, but while I go ahead and disengage from my side, and feel free to go ahead and share your presentation, then we can go ahead and learn more about you. So welcome to the webinar, young lady.
Yes, thank you, Diego, and welcome everyone. I see we have a big group tonight, and some of you are from out of state. I wasn't expecting that.
They're
So
investing in Texas.
Yes. So welcome to the webinar, and we hope this is an informative time for those of you that are interested in attending or beginning to learn more about what it is when you go to a foreclosure auction. And that's my goal for tonight. So let me just share a disclosure before I begin. The following information is for educational purposes and from personal experience. Financial, legal, and professional advice will not be provided, and we are presenting what is being presented may not apply to your individual situation. Examples presented that involve profits or earnings should not be interpreted as typical for the average person, because we know everyone's deal is going to be unique. And keep in mind that all investing involves some form of risk. And again, we're here to minimize that risk, like Diego teaches us, which is why I'm glad to be able to share what I've learned in my experience. A little bit about my professional bio. I was raised in San Antonio, Texas, so I am native Texan. My background involves a teaching elementary school teacher career. I'm a graduate of Wayland Baptist University with a master's degree that I earned for elementary education. So I taught for the last 17 years. My last 7 years were at Klein Independent School District. So I just finished out last school year, realizing that, I didn't want to retire as a school teacher. But I love the field. I respect all teachers out there. If there's any of you on the webinar, kudos to you. So I've lived in Houston for a total of about 9 years now. When I first came to Houston, that's how I met Diego. It was 2015, I joined Fortune Builders, and it was a great program at the time, but again, it lacked the personable relationships that you kind of need, where you won't feel that you're going into investing on your own. So that was at the time when I started my first LLC, Pink Diamond Properties. And I joined Strata Ventures. So I am Strata Ventures alumni. I joined Strata Ventures in the summer of 2018. So it's been a few years. And then because of my teaching, I was too overwhelmed with my workload. And I've always been always working more than one job. So I kind of, had to put investing on the back burner for a while. And then COVID hit. So now that I've got teaching out of my path, I did start my own Pink Diamond Signings, which is, I'm a mobile closing agent. So I'm a certified signing agent and mobile notary. So along with that, I want to get back into investing where I left off, which was to work some wholesale deals. Primarily, that's where I feel I have the most the advantage, because I like going to doors. I'm not afraid of approaching people that I don't know and trying to, meet their needs, whatever situation they might be, needing to get rid of their home for, or whatever strategy needs to take place. So while I was teaching these past few years, I did start working with a couple of other LLCs that are investor based. So this is where I gained my auction experience. So that's what I'm going to share with you this evening. I've had a couple years of doing it now, attending not only the Harris County auction, but the Travis County auction. So I'll go ahead and get started. And again, we are holding our questions off till the end, so feel free to let Ariana know. We're going to be stopping at about 7:10 with the presentation, so that you'll be able to ask, any questions at that time. I just wanted to start off with where you might see yourself. And I thank you for being on this webinar tonight, because obviously that is our goal, to continue being a learner. I love to learn myself and feel like I'll never be the one to claim I know more than anyone else. I love the challenge when Diego asked me to do this. Yes, I don't feel like an expert, but I'm willing to share what I do know, because again, real estate involves a lot of, you learn from your experiences. So I love that about real estate. I wanted to share why consider a foreclosure auction. So for whatever reason you might be joining us tonight, again, there's maybe yours is already included in one of these reasons. There are many reasons why people attend auctions, way beyond this list that I came up with. But first of all, you can fast track your real estate career, because you're looking at bank foreclosures, tax sales, and HOA sales at these auctions. You're adding another source of income. You're building your investment portfolio. It's a source of acquiring a fix and flip project. And it's another way to put your money to work. And it's also a resource for networking. You will meet lots of people that have funding at these auctions. So that's a great place to go if you're looking for funding. Also, if you're expanding, just expanding your real estate knowledge. Okay, so ways to getting started. I looked up, a lot of these are just hyperlinks. I'm going to open up some of these informational pages to share and go over with you. So there is a lot of information to share. We will be able to share the links with you, because again, you want to have these available to you. It doesn't have to be Harris County, but whatever county you're interested in. We hope that this will relate to your needs as well, because every state is different based on their statutes and limitations and their laws. So again, for Harris County, this is what I'm gonna focus on this evening. So we do have a couple of counties in Texas that have gone online. We don't believe at this point that Harris County is gonna go online at any time because it is, from what I understand, the largest live real estate auction in the country, one of the largest, if not the largest. So people come from out of state to purchase properties at these auctions here in Harris County. It's held, again, there's location information, there's other links for information embedded in this document. This is just a PDF document I pulled off of the county website. Very, very, very full of information. So if you just take the time to go into your county's websites, you will find this to apply to your areas. But again, for Harris County, it's really for the whole state of Texas. The auctions are held the first Tuesday of every month. And generally it is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And again, we have those three types of auctions: the tax liens, the trustee sales, which are the first lien foreclosures from banks who hire the trustees to get the highest bid. They're just trying to get their money. And so is the county when it comes to, sometimes they'll call the tax sales, constable sales, or sheriff sales. And then you have the HOA auctions as well for HOA liens. So it's held at the Bayou City Event Center. And generally you are requested to seek information online rather than try to go unless it's the day of the auction. They don't really want people stopping by or asking questions, because all of their information is pretty much online. So that's your best resource for your place to go for information. So there's parking information. There's even free transportation or low-cost transportation, public transportation. It is normally $5 for parking, so it's not a big expense to go in there. As early as 8:30, you can go there, and technically you do have the resources. Some of them I will be sharing with you. Here are just some of them, and also phone numbers you can contact for questions prior to the auction. Here's some frequently asked questions. We did mention we would be discussing the difference between the tax auction and the trustee auction, and here it is. The tax auction is, conducted by the constable, and it's a sale on behalf of the taxing entities. So again, everyone's just trying to get their money when properties go to auction. But something that you should be aware of when it comes to tax foreclosures, a lot of these do come with their story. They have liens against them. So anytime you consider going to an auction, please, please, please know that you do have to do your due diligence, again, to minimize that risk. There is a story behind every property. And again, the fact that they're held once a month is to your advantage, so that you can go and take those weeks prior. As soon as these properties are going to be coming up to auction, it's your time to go drive by them, look online, and I'll show you some of the websites to get this information. You can pull title searches on them if it's something you're really interested. And another thing to be aware of, these auctions, like Diego mentioned, they're very competitive. The two counties I became very familiar with is Austin and Harris. They really are competitive among the frequent. It's the same investors that are pretty much there every time. So again, if you wanted to bid on something, just be aware that there's probably regulars that already are, they have their research done and their money in hand and ready to go with these purchases. So it is a very competitive in-person, type of environment. So another thing that would be a good idea is to just go to observe a few times, if not at least once or twice, so that you kind of see the, what it's all about, and get just to feel the experience and see how it's done in person with your own observations. So again, not to get off the subject, but these tax auctions are based on the fact that the property is being foreclosed on for delinquent property taxes. And when they're delinquent, it's usually 2 years minimum. So a lot of times these properties will already be unoccupied. So that would be a good thing about it. But again, you have to take a look at what is owed against them when it comes to not only the opening bid, but what is in addition to that. And these properties will be listed in the daily court review and other foreclosure publication services. So the other good thing about tax auctions is there are free resources to find these listings. Now, when it comes to the trustee auctions, these are where the bank's foreclosing. It's a first lien foreclosure, typically. Sometimes you will have second lien foreclosures. This is where the trustee is hired to bring these properties to auction so that the banks can get their money back. And the highest bidder for any of these auctions, you have to really go with cash ready to go. They give you about 15 minutes to pay once you are the winning bidder. If you're declared the winning bidder, you do not have time to go to the bank or, handle a wire transfer. They want the money right away. If you do not pay within 15 minutes, they will reconvene to sell it towards the end of whatever other properties are being cried that from that trustee. The trustee auctions, while held at the same time and place as delinquent tax auctions, are not conducted by Harris County. So the trustees are hired by lien holders to legally foreclose on the mortgage or on the debtor or the debtor. So again, there is those differences between the two, and it's a matter of what you're more interested in. For the tax auctions, you do need to have a bidder number and pre-register, and we'll go over that in a little bit. For the trustee auctions, you do not have to have paperwork in advance. And so moving right along, there's just so much to cover. I really had to, narrow down what I want to cover, because I really wanted to go over the types of liens and the way that foreclosures handle what survives the tax auction or the trustee auction or not. But that's going to have to be, a whole separate opportunity of learning. Okay, so property information, here's just more links, and these are the 3 main websites that you want to have handy when looking. A lot of them, it's under the clerk's office. The third link, if you're in Harris County, that's the main link to find these listings for the tax liens. If they should also have some of the first liens, the trustee sale properties, but they're not going to have any breakdowns in them. For the trustee sales, I also added on another slide links that you may want to, pretty much you have to subscribe to them to get those listings. So they are a little harder to get access to them, because you don't want to rely on going to the auction and getting the information the day of. So here's just ways to pretty much find out within what precinct the property is located. So there's a lot of helpful resources here. And then how the minimum bid is determined. It's all based on what is the adjudged value or the judgment value. And sometimes we even find that whatever these values are, they, for some reason, I haven't figured out how they figure it, but they start the bidding really low. And so when you have a starting bid as opposed to the winning bid, you actually think that there should be a certain amount of excess funds, which for most matters, it should be owed to the homeowner. But when you do the research and find out, then the bank was owed a lot more than what the winning bid was, then you find out there really wasn't much spread on a lot of these sales. So you have to really know what the notice of sale states, because usually you will find that information when you look into these county records ahead of time. And then you kind of have a good idea of what that starting bid is going to be. Okay, so here's just some commonly asked questions. So I won't take time to go over them, or we just won't be able to get through. But again, you will have the link or the links to a lot of this, what's being shared in these slides. Okay, and again, they have their own disclosure as well. Let me get out of this. Move my. And I just wanted to show you for the tax sales, this is what the Harris County registration form looks like. You do not have to pay any money, but they will ask that you provide all of your information. And because if you are the winning bidder, they will use that winning bidder, the bidder number that they assign to you. I think it's good for a year, if I'm remembering correctly, but that they want all of the information ready to go. So that is kept on file by the county. And again, I've already mentioned that the trustee auction bidders do not need to pre-register. I also wanted to share, I don't know if oops, I didn't. There's a lady that's called in Harris County, the foreclosure queen. So they do offer those workshops the day of the auction. So I'll also have that information link in the offer to you if you're interested. Again, a lot of it might be geared as a strategy towards marketing for other services. But for the most part, it is very informative. So if you're interested in learning more, they do offer free webinars prior to the auction. So it's queenofforeclosure.com, and her name is Linda Muscarello, Queen of Foreclosure here in the Harris County auction. Her and her husband are very involved with, the auctions here at the location where they're held on Knight Road. So I wanted to also share that if you are planning and you're interested in properties in one of the precincts, if you'll just notice how huge Harris County is, it's broken into 8 different precincts. All of these precincts are holding auctions at the same time. So if you're interested in maybe a property in precinct 4 and also precinct 3, you can assign someone from your team to register with their own bidder number for another precinct if you're interested in properties from different precincts, because they are all being held at the same time. So again, it's all about not only knowing that all of these auctions are taking place at the same time, but whatever your goals are for attending these auctions, that you strategize and go prepared. Okay, so here we go with our next slide of doing our due diligence. So for tax lien listings, there are these main websites. The Harris County list is right off of the. Is it gonna open up? Yes, it's loading. Okay, so here you will first see the disclosure and you have to agree to get past that and get access. This is where you're gonna see all of the precincts and you pretty much can select. I'm just gonna choose precinct 4 because it will filter them that way. And then as you go through the list, what's kind of nice is they're already by precinct. So you're able to see the account number and the adjudged value, which should be the close, or, you know, it just depends on how they're going to start the bidding in these cases. You have to take note of what they're putting on these information posts. And again, another thing to be aware of when you go to these auctions, these homeowners have the opportunity to pay their whatever is owed and all the way up to the day, even the morning of the auction, to come current. And a lot of these are going to get canceled. So you might do all of this research and invest a lot of your time in properties that you're really interested in. And then you come to find that they didn't even go to sale. So don't get discouraged because it's still worth all of the time you invest in going in and doing your due diligence. But just be aware that, you know, you have to really take time to have a whole list, because if you're just going to look up 2 properties, it's very likely that other people are interested in them. And even then, possibly these homeowners arrange something. They either, some of them file bankruptcy to, you know, rescue it from foreclosure. They might work with a wholesaler and sell it, or get someone to an investor to bring it current prior to the foreclosure. And, you know, they just, or they might borrow money, private money from someone and pay the mortgage current. So a lot of times, even properties that have gone to sale, and this is just from my experience, the sale ends up being rescinded. So basically the buyer will get their money back. So they don't lose what they paid at the sale, but it just means that the sale is rescinded and the homeowner gets to stay in their property. So they basically get the buyer out of the way. So that sometimes does happen. And again, even prior to all of these that you're seeing available today on this list, as we get closer to this upcoming sale, which is on March 7th, it's the first Tuesday in March, you're going to see that they're going to show as canceled. They'll just post canceled across the property card. I just call them private. See, like, this is what you'll see. So you're going to end up seeing more and more of these as we get closer to the sale. So again, this is updated daily. So you do want to keep an eye on properties that you're interested, so that you're not wasting time on, you know, doing all your due diligence on properties that aren't even going to go to sale. And then these are 2 of the law firms that also post information regarding these foreclosures. So they're also resources that you want to become familiar with. This is another really good resource, the Daily Court Review. But again, this one does come with a subscription. You have to pay for the subscription. I mean, what's nice is they break down the information so that, you know, based on how in depth of the due diligence you'd like to have it, you know, digital format. They also, if you upgrade, I think it's like $99 for the year subscription. You not only get the digital access, but you also get like a newspaper mailing. So it's really kind of nice. But it does provide very useful information, because a lot of times what's challenging about Harris County, when you go to an auction, they're not going to call it out by an address, a street address. They're going to call it out by the lot description. So that's really what's frustrating about going to these auctions. You have to know that all of this information is handy for you the day of the auction, because normally you would think, oh, I'll know because it's this certain address I'm interested in. But that's what, for some reason, Harris County is the one that does it that way. Other counties, they normally do call it out by street address, but Harris County doesn't do it that way. They make it difficult. Okay, so continuing on for the trustee sales, foreclosed Houston is one of the most popular. It is $50 a month, but not only do you get the pre-foreclosure listing, you also get the post-foreclosure listing. So you will be able to see previous months sales information, not only the opening, but the winning bidder. And you even get to see who purchased the property, because a lot of these bidders are hedge funds. So they come, they have their teams ready to go with tons of money. They buy tons of properties at these auctions. They are regulars. They know the business very well. And a lot of times that's who you're competing against when you want to bid on a property. Another very helpful one is Roddy's foreclosure list. I did see that right now they're offering, and I don't know if they've always done this, it's a 7-day free trial. So for anyone interested in looking into it, you can at least take advantage of a week's worth of access for free. And then it says after that, it's $20 a month. I actually thought it was a little more than that, but they're also a good resource. They offer trainings. So this is just their website. But they do offer a lot of tips for foreclosures. There's an app that they recommend, and using, you get a lot of access again to not only the pre-foreclosure, but the post-foreclosure information on all of these properties that do go to sale. We're running short on time, so okay. So these are just the links to I think the main one that gives the most information when it comes to foreclosure is the county clerk's office, because the tax office will give you some of that information, but it doesn't give you as much as the county clerk's office. So just keep that in mind. There's also part of due diligence should include a flood plan. I don't have time to open up that slide deck, but again, there's a lot to share with you, so we will find a way to get it to you. This is a whole PowerPoint presentation on what you should know, because you should be able to figure out ahead of time if the property you're interested is in a flood zone.
Take your time, Dora.
What's that?
Take your time, you've got time.
Okay. And then another website I wanted to share with you is our Alexa. If you go to resources on this website, it's really cool because you can see Houston by zip code. So here's the map, and it's really nicely colored, easy to read. And not only that, so, as a resource for doing your due diligence, there's also other useful, how did that come up? Okay, so if you go to resources, you're also looking at school district information. There's a home value estimator, a mortgage calculator. So it's full of helpful due diligence information here. So that's something you might want to check out. And again, you have there's so many options nowadays with all of these different websites and helpful resources for investors to utilize. So I just like learning about new things that are coming available. So 4 important steps as part of your due diligence plan is you must look at the condition of the property. You know, if there was even a storm, a big storm right before a sale, you want to make sure there was not a tree that fell over that roof and, you know, caved in that roof. You want to just make sure that you not only drive the property, but hopefully are able to take a look inside of the condition. Now, if it's occupied, you don't want to trespass. Even if it's vacant, technically you're not supposed to, you know, trespass onto the property, but it does make it a lot easier when you're just trying to get a peek at the condition of, you know, through the window or whatever. And you also want to verify the address. Some of these tax liens that go to auction, it's not even the lot that you think it is. It might be a strip of land in between 2 lots. So you have to really map it out. Look at the county, the aerial view on the Google, because you want to make sure that the lot description is what is going to sell. Sometimes you'll also see a 0 in front of the address. There won't be a street number. You'll just see 0 on the street name. Sometimes the county will do that when the house is vacant or it's just an empty lot. So also be aware of whether it's a dilapidated building or there's maybe a cement slab and there used to be a house there, because a lot of times with older properties, they've been torn down and all you'll see is, I mean, it's developed lot because there's, you know, utilities through, you know, that are already in place, but you're not going to have a building there. You also want to review the property out as far as the location, because when you look at a Google map, you can see if it's got a body of water near it. You could see if there's a school walking distance from it. You can see if there's a park, because all of those add value to that property. So you want to make sure that you're looking at the location. Is it close to a shopping center? Is it close to a freeway? You know, those are things that sometimes people, it's just going to add more value to what, you know, that you have to think with the end in mind of, you know, what's your strategy to invest in this property. If you're going to flip it and you're going to have an end buyer, then you want to have things that they would be interested in when you're looking and choosing what properties you want to pursue. You also want to comp it, you know, and of course, Strata Ventures and Diego's formulas are wonderful when it comes to figuring out, you know, how much you can spend. Pretty much, you're gonna have to decide what's your maximum bid. If these properties have liens on them, you pretty much have to add up whatever the property is selling. I mean, the opening bid plus whatever liens you've learned about through your due diligence, and then be able to decide if you can even bid that high, if it's worth it to spend that much. Because remember, as investors, when are we making our money? It's when we purchase. When we make that purchase, we should already have that idea of what's going to become of it, with the rehab expense and the time that we have to hold it to get it to where we want it to be. Here's another 2 resources that are really good. This is an inexpensive way to get title searches. You normally would pay $80 to $150 for a full title search. And through this website, easytitlesearch.com, you're going to pay as little as $39 per search. So those of you that are really serious and, you know, you think it's worth your while, that it's a great resource to have in your back pocket. Also, this BPO photo flow, it is a great resource if you cannot physically go to view a property. they will go for you, and it costs about $50 or $40. No, it's $50 on average for 40 pictures. So you would have all the images that you can get of the condition of the properties. And I don't know, I'm thinking that they do, I haven't used it yet, but I've heard that, you know, their prices are great, and they do get, you know, the full, and I also learned that some other investors, they'll send an Uber and tip them a little extra to get pictures of a property. And, you know, just let them know that when you get to this address, I won't be there, but if you'll take pictures and send them to me, I'll give you a nice tip. So there's different ways that, you know, you might be too far away. Maybe it's across town, and Harris County is so huge. You can't get there because of work schedules or whatever. That's another way to get someone out there in your shoes. This is just a video that was made a few months back. It's actually about the Travis County auction, which is an amazing auction. Very few people come to this one because they have not nearly as many sales as Harris County, but it's just a video I want to recommend because they also give helpful tips. And they even provided a highest bid calculator where you can pretty much plug in numbers to figure out what your highest bid would be on some of these properties. But it's really, really informative. So I recommend that, and I added it to one of the slides here. Oops, I can't show it right now. We don't have time. And we are, okay, so this is our last slide. So just as a buyer beware, before we close, you also want to make sure that, you know, just to review, the list, check the list for accuracy. Don't assume everything that you're reading off of these lists is accurate. You want to just verify everything. I've bought a property in the past where the property lines were slimmer than what was recorded. So that was a mistake on the county's part. So again, even the mapping could be inaccurate. So you have to make sure not only the type of lot, but the measurements on these lots, that they are according to what's in the description of these listings. And again, we've already talked about the condition of the property, not only inside, but I'm not only the outside, but the inside as well, because again, it's going to be out-of-pocket expense to get it up to code. And if it's occupied, you also have to consider, are you going to have to evict these tenants if you acquire, as the winning bidder, if you acquire that property? So that could also be not only more time in addition to you know, being able to do something with it, but how long is it going to take to clear it out of whoever's living in it? Of course, we all need to make sure that the title will be clear. A lot of these tax liens, they will do a quitclaim deed, the county will. So you eventually do want to get to the point where you can do the process, the warranty deed through a title company. And that process alone could take 4 to 6 months. You also want to look at the valuation, the valuation of the property. Make sure, and of course, it's all part of the due diligence, that it's going to be a good buy in the long run. Location is important, and also the out-of-pocket expense for a lot of these, when, especially for these more dilapidated, some of them are conditioned to tear down and rebuild. So you have to take all of those factors into consideration. Okay, so I think this was our last slide, and I'm sorry, I probably went over time, but again, there was so much to cover. I didn't even have time to cover the types of liens. So sorry, Diego.
No worries. You did great. Well, I'm going to go ahead, guys, and share the screen here. I always do this while we are in the Q&A session of this part. Give me one moment here. So for those of you that put questions in the Q&A section, I thank you so much for doing that. And as you can see, it is a lot of information, right? And Dora, you did great. I know that, moving that along to people that want to learn. That's why we're going to be sharing the press,
Yes.
the slide deck, your contact information to
Yes.
everybody that was listening.
Mhm.
Hopefully, guys, Dora, I did ask Dora to join the SVI team here. Hopefully she accepts, because we love working with people that are knowledgeable like that, and especially coming from a teacher's background. We love that, because I believe this industry lacks that part of the teaching part, right? The part of we're teaching because we want you to succeed, not because we want you to, fail, which is unfortunately why we exist now, right? It's because of the types of companies, as we like to say that. So Dora, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And if I can help with any of the questions,
Yeah,
I'm ready for them.
we're going to get right into that here. And I'm going to keep her contact information there, guys. Her phone number is 832-722-1305. That's 832-722-1305. And it's Pink Diamond Properties, plural, at gmail.com. So here we go, Dora. Let's see, we have Eugene. Eugene Dyson is probably one of my most active members in the company. He's out in Arizona, and
Oh, wow.
he and I are working on him dominating the whole Eastern Seaboard, right, Eugene? Here is the question from Eugene. Can you give more insight on the HOA auctions? He's never heard of these types of auctions. So if I had to ask you, what are the 3 key components of that? What would they be, Dora?
On the HOA auctions, those are statutory auctions, which means that they can foreclose they're liens against properties that you pretty much, like when you purchase a home, you're pretty much signing to get that lien against the property for that for the like, what do you call it, like the I guess I'm not thinking what the word is, but
Getting it for the unpaid balance, for what's owed,
yeah, you are
assuming it.
yeah, you're assuming it and you're signing to agree to it. But when it comes to HOAs, basically they're interesting to work with, only because if you purchase an HOA lien, you can actually end up acquiring the property at a very inexpensive cost. Because if the first mortgage does not get well, if it's not redeemed, so there's a redemption period, which is another thing we didn't have time to talk about. When a lot of these properties go to sale, they have a redemption period. If the properties are home exempt, they have that home exemption, it's going to be a 2-year redemption period. But for the tax liens, if there is no home exemption, it's only 6 months of a redemption period. And the HOAs do work a little different. You just have to, decide if that's what you want, because a lot of times those have the homeowner in there. So you basically are up against what they're going to wish for on their end, because even after you buy it, you will have to wait it out past the redemption period before you can step in and try to take over the mortgage, because that mortgage will still need to be paid by you. So you have to take that into consideration as well.
Okay.
I hope that helps, but they're a little complicated in that area, because of you're dealing with homeowners in the properties for the HOA for the most part.
And Eugene, Dora is in our Member Center members directory, so feel free to reach out to her through Podio. Juan De Luna asked, he's actually one of our members in San Antonio. He said, is there any kind of penalty for not paying within 15 minutes?
Well, the penalty is they will reconvene that sale.
Okay.
They will, and sometimes What is the penalty? There is,
Get in the back of the line.
no, there, I mean, they're not gonna be happy with you, but I can't remember if there's something that they can do again. Oh, there is a risk if, maybe if you do, I'm thinking if you do it once, they're not gonna penalize you, but um, they
Suspend.
can make your bidder number null and void
Got it.
if it's a tax lien.
Okay. Let's see here. Robbie Hernandez asked, can we have a copy of the deck of the docs, please? The answer to that, Robbie, is yep.
That's what I was talking to Diego about. There's a lot of information.
Yeah, feel free, guys. We sent some information in.
I just need to tweak a couple things and then it'll be ready to share.
Okay,
So
great.
give me until tomorrow
Okay, great. So people are
and it can be available.
great. People are gonna email us to info@strataventures.com and we can
Yes.
go ahead and share that out.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Let's see here. This was an anonymous attendee said, what is the best deal you have bought from the auction? Question mark. And what is the worst property you've bought from an auction?
Well, honestly, I was working with investors that would send me to auctions to collect data for opening and closing bids because my experience with these investors, the two LLCs that I shared about, I work with them for the past couple years. What we were doing was we were doing pre-foreclosure strategies to acquire properties, basically rescuing the properties prior to going to foreclosure where the owners or the heirs would sign over their rights to us and we would not have to go to auction with our strategies.
Right.
And then we also ended up switching this past year to post foreclosure, which was more asset recovery, which involved helping the homeowner acquire their excess funds, or, you know, if there was wrongful foreclosure involved, we were helping them file those wrongful foreclosure lawsuits against the banks or the, you know, even sometimes the bidder.
Which is absolutely one of the things that
again, that's also a whole other venue of information for risks that could be involved, but that's why due diligence is so important.
right.
Because another factor is when there's deceased people involved, there's also laws and regulations that sometimes there is wrongful foreclosure because they are not legally supposed to foreclose on some of these properties. And when they do, the buyer can end up involved in a lawsuit.
Correct. And that can get pretty sticky.
Yes, yes.
Let's see. Valente asked, how do you pay for these properties? Is it cash, check, credit card? What, I mean.
Yes, that's a great question. You basically can take cashier's check, and you can make those cashier checks payable to you, and then you would just endorse them to the trustee at the sale. If you ever have amounts of cashier's checks that go above and beyond what the sale price was, they will reimburse you, but they're not going to reimburse you the day of or the day after. You're going to have to wait a little bit.
Got it.
So
Rebecca Valdez here asked, for a house that is on the pre-foreclosure list, but is currently for sale by a realtor, does it go to auction if it's not sold by the auction date?
yes, good question. And the answer is yes.
Because they have confirmed sell dates at that point. And it's
I mean, the property owners are basically trying to rescue it by selling it, and which would be great. But again, I've seen it happen and it's a sad story, but they end up losing and then stuck with nothing on their end. And
yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing, Dora, is guys, as you start approaching the property owners, you know, they're 90 days, right? You know, past due, list pendants type of approach. The water's hot, not boiling. As they get to a little further down in the process, it's boiling, and then they're already in the frying pan. So that's where the unfortunate part is. They've had that amount of time to try to do something in recovery or work out a plan of action. But it's unfortunate a lot of the time the homeowners are the ones that sink the ship. And I believe, Dora, correct me if I'm wrong, if you do play the role of wanting to buy these properties, you should first and foremost go in as an advocate and educate them. Let them know that your ship is sinking right here. You know, we really can't do anything, and you might be able to help them.
Yeah, there's usually, I mean, as we all know, there's always more than one solution to a problem.
Mhm.
And you want it to be a win-win. But that's why it's so important. And that's why I love, working this real estate in this fashion, because I get to talk to people and try to, negotiate with them and, try to make it a win-win as much as possible. It's not always going to be that way because of, how bad some of these
Yeah.
situations get. But we do
We're-
our best.
We're getting pinged right now from on Podio by some members that when is she starting? That is so awesome. I think you passed the interview process, young lady. All right. So guys, this is Dora's information here if you wanted to go ahead and reach out to her. And remember, it's 832-722-1305. And it's pinkdiamondproperties@gmail.com. We also want to go ahead and thank our affiliate partners and some of our direct partners who work with us in the industry. Guys, we strive to work with the best that's out there because we want to make sure that our members and everybody that works with SVI is handled in the right way with the right people. Another thing that we like to invite people to do is to go ahead and go to our webpage, strataventures.com, scan the QR code, or simply send us an email to info@strataventures.com and schedule a free one-on-one. What if one of those one-on-ones, Dora, you're in there with me and hey, guess what? We're getting to meet new great people in this industry. So feel free to reach out to us at strataventures.com. Now, here's a special message. Realtors, Houston-based realtors, tomorrow at February 28th from 11:15 to 4 p.m., we are holding one of our Realtor Advantage training. This is a Texas certified CE course that SVI and myself as an instructor now do for all of these realtors on learning how to work with investors. We also do have one of our inspection partners out there, Silvio with BPG, that's also helping us. He also has the first session. It's a 1-hour inspection course. These are all CE credit. It's located at 1470 First Colony Boulevard. You can also get the information at strataventures.com and register in the events page. The CE credit is $5 a credit. So for the SVI side, it's $15, but all proceeds, Dora, get donated to Camp Hope. Camp Hope being a PTSD a Veterans Association, and we are very, very adamant about working with them. So if you want to go to strataventures.com, guys, register. It starts at 11:15. There's lunch provided from some of the sponsors, and we look forward to meeting you guys there. Try to be there a little ahead of time, right? So it doesn't become too packed because, as you know, the Texas CE rules, your bucks have to be in the seats at the time of the class commencement. So, and thank you for attending, like and subscribe. And if you want to get to know more about us, feel free to search on all the social media platforms. This webinar, Dora, is going to be placed in our YouTube channel. And so when you send us the edited, fully ready to go deck page, we will get that out to everybody. So do you have any last comments before we let everybody go? Because I think this was great. And I think you did amazing.
I just want to thank everyone. It was great meeting with you this evening. And it's wonderful to see where Strata Adventures has come. Again, I've been gone for a few years, but I'm looking forward to working with y'all again.
And I believe
thank you.
You did awesome. I know this was your first time because you were like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Sweetheart, you did great. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Everybody have a good evening and enjoy your family. See you next time.
Bye-bye.